The first thing that we're going to talk about is the dashboard when you first log in to Dext-Precision. So Dext-Precision, you have the same exact login that you would have with your Dext Prepare, and then there's a menu over here. You can switch between the products once you have Dext-Precision enabled. And so here's your dashboard. I've connected a ton of clients, so you're going to see all your client lists right here. I could go to this search box right here and find a specific client if I was looking for it. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add a new client. And so if you're connecting to Xero or QuickBooks, you just click connect to QuickBooks. And this is going to walk you through the standard connecting an app to QuickBooks, basically. So this particular client is a client that does their own bookkeeping, and I'm going to connect them to Dext Prepare to take a look at their data and the data quality that they have in their QuickBooks. Okay, so we have just connected a client, and now I'm going to want to go into that client and go to what's called a client overview here in Dext. So I'm going to search for the client in my search box that I want to connect to. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to bring me into essentially a client dashboard with an overview of key statistics that Dext is pulling in from QuickBooks Online. So the first box that you'll notice over here is the date range. So this date range right here is saying that this is reviewing the data in QuickBooks Online from August 1st to July 31st, 2021. I could click on this if there and change the date range if I wanted to. The second thing that you're going to see is this cleanup box right here. And these are all items that Dext is identifying as issues that potentially need to be addressed in this client's file related to the cleanup of the file. So it's saying that there's outstanding payments and deposits as of July 31st. So they're saying that there's 5 payments and deposits that have not been reconciled yet. It's saying the latest reconciled bank transaction across all the accounts was August 2nd, 2021. So it's important to consider that this metric right here is just saying this is the latest reconciled transaction across all the accounts, and there could potentially be accounts that have not been reconciled. This is duplicate contacts, so it's parsing the data and looking for duplicate contacts. In this case, there's no duplicate contacts. Then it's going through multi-coded contacts. It's saying that there's 21 multi-coded contacts. This metric is very useful. We all have clients or us ourselves sometimes say that a contact or is coded across multiple categories. So for example, maybe they've entered staples and advertising and office supplies. So this is an issue that would need to be addressed. It makes for poor data quality when things are not categorized consistently. The next item on here is dormant accounts. So the dormant account metric, I haven't personally found super useful, but it is there. It is to say that this number of accounts in the chart of accounts has not been used in this period. So for over a year, there's 16 accounts in the chart of accounts that have not been used. Maybe you want to go in and clean up the chart of accounts. It could be useful because potentially you're bringing in a client and looking at the data quality, and there's 250 accounts in the chart of accounts that have never been used. That's going to be a considerable amount of cleanup job to go in and delete those. There's no bulk deleting of chart of accounts in QuickBooks. So that I think that's why that's there. The next kind of box that you have are the insights into the data. Dext is saying that what they believe the corporate tax estimate could potentially be due for this client is this amount right here. It's also telling us the end of the year lock date, so we get to see the last time the data was locked in QuickBooks. Then the regular supplier issues is saying that there's suppliers with inconsistent data. So there's suppliers that have on a month over month basis in the fiscal year, there's potential months where they either have higher expenses or lower expenses. This is really useful when you have bills that are supposed to come through every month. Potentially they've been coded into wrong periods or incorrectly. And the next one you have is activity. So it's pulling in the client's revenue for the year to date. It's pulling in the number of sales. So in this particular case, if you have a client that's coding their sales from the bank feed, it's not going to pull in a sales number. It's not going to pull in bills if they're not invoicing inside of QuickBooks. But it is there to see kind of how many invoices potentially need to be reconciled or dealt with, how many bills. And then it's pulling in the number of bank transactions. I find this very useful. I can see that this particular client has 207 bank transactions for the entire year. And that can just help estimate a little bit of like pricing if I'm trying to do a cleanup right here and estimate what the cleanup would be for this account. As well as it has the number of manual journals entered into the account. We've all had that client that potentially uses only journal entries instead of transactions. Makes for really hard cleanup and really hard data review if they're only using journals. And then we have credit notes. So what Dex is saying, taking all of these metrics that it's been pulled in, it's saying that it estimates this client's health score at about 80%. And so there's definitely some cleanup work that needs to be done before, say, we want to file the taxes for this client. And so what we can do is Dex actually has the ability where we can export all of this data into a beautiful PDF, and I'll go ahead and do that and show you what that looks like. And now I can go back to this particular client and say, here is all of the issues that I identified in your file, and here's the price that it's going to be for us to fix it. And so it just makes for a really great client experience, as well as a great experience on my side, being able to clearly identify what needs to be addressed. So then I can go back and give them, and it creates this report, and it shows exactly the issues that are in the file.